Today I ducked up by wearing pants. Today I wore pants, which is not unlike any other day in my life. However, today I wore these new dark jeggings. Don't judge me, I had recently purchased. I checked myself out in the mirror, then headed to class. Little did I know the horrors awaiting me. In the middle of class, my legs started to kind of feel tingly, and my feet were numb. I looked down, and noticed my feet were a purplish color, kind of like dead flesh. This was not surprising to me, because I have Raynaud's disease, which means that sometimes my extremities don't get enough blood/oxygen, so they turn funny colors and go numb. I'd seen this several times before, had the doctors check it out, and they said I was good, so why worry about it now? I didn't think much about it until I got home, and I realized my feet were still numb, even after 3 hours. Normally it goes away very fast. I touched my legs and realized they felt cold to the touch. This was when I took my pants off and discovered that both of my legs were purple. I'm talking person who was been dead a long time purple. Straight up cadaver purple. Like the kind of purple that makes you instantly concerned purple. I immediately freaked out and began slapping my legs like an idiot, making this god-awful squawking sound, trying to determine if there was any feeling there. I couldn't really tell because they were a little numb. I started doing squats and moving around, no change in coloration. I began running scalding hot water over them, thinking somewhere in my brain that the hot water would help the blood return to the surface of my skin and change the color. At this point I was 100% convinced that I was going to lose both of my legs and have to use a wheelchair the rest of my life. After the last 2 months of binge watching House, I was sure this had to be like some crazy cancer or weird disorder, and that my legs were going to be dysfunctional due to lack of oxygen or blood, or whatever it was. I started having a full-blown panic attack, wheezing and crying and freaking out like a rabid baboon. I looked back down to realize that the bath water was now a light shade of purple and my legs were less so. I blinked a few times, then I scrubbed my skin roughly, and more purple came off. After much vigorous scrubbing and water, the majority of the purple washed away. My new jeggings, which I had not washed yet, had dyed my skin while I was wearing them, nothing more. The fact that they had been cold and numb was just related to the Raynaud's but wasn't serious. And I felt like an idiot. TLDR, but you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. Today I ducked up by answering the door in a towel. You can probably guess where this is going, but stick with me, it gets worse. I'm looking after my sister's house for a few days while she's away. Been here a couple of days, and I'm settled in. It's nice and sunny outside, so I decide take the dog on a bit of a hike. It was lovely. Sun beating down, bluebells in the woods, tweeting birds. It was a proper walk in the countryside. Happy days. Got home and I'm a bit sweaty. Balls are sticking to my leg, so obviously I need to jump in the shower. AHH. A nice relaxing shower, I think to myself as I soap up and feel the hot blast of water cascading over my shoulders. Bliss. Then I hear the dog going crazy downstairs, barking and jumping around. So I jump out of the shower and open the window to see what he's barking at. Shut, it's a courier. I completely forgot my sister told me she had some parcels coming. I quickly wrap a towel around my waist, run downstairs and head for the door. The delivery guy spots me through the glass and waits as I calm the dog down and tell him to sit. Good dog. I open the door a crack and the dog gets a bit twitchy. Stay, I tell him, and he settles. Good boy. Your training is going well. You deserve a biscuit. I open the door to deal with the delivery. The guy hands me a parcel, taps his touchpad a couple of times, and gives it to me to sign. I stuff the parcel under one arm, take the touchpad, and look for where I need to sign. Then I hear a woman talking. Then a little girl. It's the neighbor from a couple of doors down, pushing her baby's buggy up the street, and talking to her, I'm guessing, 5-year-old daughter, who occasionally plays in the garden with the pup. The dog hears his little friend, and makes a bolt for the door. But I'm too quick for him. I put my leg out to block his way. Little Shut dips his shoulders and rushes between my legs, catching my towel over his head and ripping it away from my waist. So I'm standing there, bollock naked, touchpad in one hand, parcel under one arm, my junk basking in the summer sun, shouting for the dog to stop, while my brain is trying to work out what the duck is going on. Too many things happening at once. Confusion intensifies. Delivery bloke bursts out laughing. Neighbor's eyes lock onto my man parts. Jaw drops and she scrambles to cover her little girl's eyes, who's standing there staring at my sausage with a look of utter confusion/horror on her face. I quickly drop the touchpad over the offending appendage, shuffle backwards into the house, pull the door to and gather myself as best I can. Delivery guy, who's now in tears, hands me the towel through the crack in the door, and I cover myself. I sign with a X, shout the bloody dog back inside, look up and lock eyes with the neighbor again as I shamefully slink back into the living room. Then I sit holding my head in my hands for about 20 minutes. But here's the kicker. I opened the parcel to check everything is okay with the order. Arse. TLDR. I answered the door in a towel and now I'm probably a sass offender. Plus irony is a bitch. Today I ducked up by sucking in my stomach to appear skinnier. So this happened last night. I live in a dorm in college where the bathrooms are shared by both genders in groups of 10. There are 2 showers and 3 toilets, so multiple people, either gender, can be in the bathroom at the same time. After my shower, I was shaving my face in the mirror with my towel wrapped around my waist. While looking in the mirror every day, I've noticed myself getting a little chunkier and chunkier in the tummy area as the semester's gone on. Then as I'm standing there shaving, one of the cuter girls I share the bathroom with enters. Before we even make eye contact or say hello to each other, I somehow instinctively sucked my tummy in to look a little skinnier, and then it happened. My towel, it must have been folded loosely enough, just unravels from the front and the towel just falls to the ground. Sadly, I wasn't fast enough to snag it before it got to my genitalia. There I'm just standing there with my 3-inch post-shower pinch and hairy ass. She was nice enough to act like she didn't see it though, and she casually got in the shower like nothing happened. But she saw it. I know she saw it all. A few lessons have been learned from this experience. Today I ducked up by looking at porn with my tablet. So my new Liwat's sister and husband are staying at our parents' house for the week. They just got here a day ago, and since her and my brother moved out, my room is the only one that isn't used for storage. So they take my room, which is actually my brother's, but I stole it when he left, and I took the basement. I like the basement, it's nice, cool and has a TV. Anyways, it was last night when we all went to bed, and I was a little drunk off wine, so I felt like looking at some porn. This is the part where I ducked up. So I'm looking at porn on my tablet. It's an old tablet, but I usually just use a remote desktop viewer to hook up with my computer, so I can do everything a computer can do, and my tablet just has to deal with the video. Well, my computer was in my room. I knew this, but I also know that the monitors were off. I also was under the impression that the stereo hooked up to my computer was turned off as well. I also knew that my tablet by default will turn off the computer sound and route the sound through my tablet. This all was true, except my brother-in-law had turned on my stereo for whatever reason. So I finished with my dirty deed with no problems. Sound never came through the speakers because I tested it beforehand. The monitors were off because I was able to see that there wasn't that blue glow coming out of my door. However, when I finished I didn't turn off the video or exit out of the web. I just accidentally and every so casually pressed the home button. So, there I am, 2 floors away, combing a paper towel and wiping the excess off my nether region when I casually pressed the button and immediately I knew my mistake. Now I knew what could have happened, but I was still thinking that I had turned the speakers off and no one turned them back on, so I'd still be fine. So I waited. 2 seconds later my speakers 2 floors up ignited with the sounds of a very nice lady getting absolutely wrecked by some big cork. Holy shit. Not only did the sound come on, but my loud ass studio speaker were turned all the way up and were right next to my bed where my sister and her husband were fast asleep. My neighbors probably thought we were having the loudest orgy ever. My dad freaked. He ran to my room. My brother-in-law was trying to turn the sound off but somehow turned the monitors on in the midst of things. So my dad has now walked in on my sister freaking out, my brother-in-law trying to unplug every outlet possible, and see just some girl getting pounded making the loudest screams I've ever heard. Needless to say, they knew it was me. They knew I did it, and they knew it wasn't a joke. I just admitted to jerking it, and I was sorry it went through the speakers. They were more mad at the fact that it scared the ducking shut out of everyone, because some nice lady just started screaming at 1 in the morning at the loudest setting my speakers had. All in all, it was probably the most embarrassing thing that has happened to me, and I DK about you guys, but there is something really embarrassing about anyone seeing what you get off to, let alone my parents, sister, and brother-in-law. TLDR. I woke my whole house up to incredibly loud porn at 1 in the morning, which I couldn't stop for a solid 120 seconds. I'll never know any longer time than those 120 seconds.